Dr. Mark Changizi here with your Science Moment. Today, I'm going to talk about the deaf and what has been taken away from them while mask mandates were on. A little bit of news. Today is Friday by the time you might be initially watching this, if you watch it the first day it comes out. The following Tuesday, April 26th, 2022, the new Civil Liberties Alliance, Janine Eunice is our attorney. Michael Sanger, Daniel Kotzen, and myself are suing the federal government for First Amendment violations. And Daniel and I will be on the stand here in federal court in Ohio. And I'll let you know how that goes. Apparently, we're each going to be on the stand for potentially a couple hours, defending our viewpoint and that we're not crazy and that the government has indeed been unabashedly trying to control big tech. And again, another reminder, news is just see if you can go get yourself a copy of Expressly Human by Dr. Tim Barber and myself, 10 years in the making. And it is really that shows the actual language that we use, that we had for millions of years before we ever had spoken language. Now, that lets me segue into what deaf folk have. You know, there's both deaf folks, and then there's folks that are missing a substantial amount of hearing, and about 1 in 10 Americans, for example, and probably generalizes across the earth, have some degree of significant or full difficulty in hearing. Now, there's two facets of this which are fairly obvious. The first, which everybody noticed, is that the deaf rely on lip reading, and of course, in a world that's filled with masked people, they're completely cut off in their ability to see those lips. And actually, even before that, many of them who have some residual hearing, the muffling and it prevents everybody from hearing, but especially them who have a very small amount of hearing, they can't hear you even if they can hear a little bit. So they're cut off on the auditory side, whatever little auditory side that they had. They're cut off in the ability to read lips, and even more importantly than that, the third is their inability to see facial expressions, which they rely on much more so than do we. I mean, we all implicitly rely on it, but they're using it just to get the heck, what's going on. They're using that along with the lips in the totality to try to infer what it is the talkies are saying, right? They've been completely cut off. Now, those are I think the more obvious sides, and really what motivated me to talk about deaf folks and what they have been missing while mask mandates were going on is something a little bit more subtle. So I wanted you to try to imagine it's not merely that they're missing those things, but those facets of human faces and between the lips and the facial expressions are a much bigger part of their life than they are for our life. So, for example, let me just back up. One of the things that many of us enjoy when you're at a restaurant, you enjoy the sounds of the people around you. You enjoy the milling about. There's this hum of people talking, hum of vocalizations, hums of the sounds of people moving around you. In fact, I've argued in an earlier book, Harnessed, music itself culturally evolved to sound like humans evocatively moving in our midst. We're willing to spend much of our whole lives listening to the sounds of humans moving around us. That is just an extremely enjoyable experience. It's one of the most enjoyable experiences in our lives. That music has culturally come to sound like that, and we enjoy being around the sounds of evocative movers, the sounds of sitting in a coffee shop and just hearing the sounds of people around us. I hate to work at home. I work wherever I wish, and I like to get out of the house. I like to go sit in coffee shops. Why? Not necessarily because I'm seeing people. Yeah, I am seeing people, but even when I'm not seeing and looking at individuals, I hear them around me. I hear the beauty and the vitality of life around me, and that makes us all alive, feel connected. If you're deaf, well, you're not getting any of that, right? You're missing all of that. You're not hearing the sounds of the music, which is sort of mimicking the sounds of human sociality. You're not hearing the sounds of the sort of the intonations and the vocalizations all around you. You're not hearing those hums. The only vitality you get from the social groups around you is visual. And the main place that you're getting it, of course, they're getting a little bit of the gestures, but mostly in those settings, they're getting it from the faces and the facial expressions. Pretty much the entire social connection that they get by going out is in the faces of others. Whereas for us, it's in the faces of others as well as as in the sounds all around us and the artificial sounds of humans moving and which harnessed, I've argued, harness, that's what it mimics. Their only channel of human connection. Not only are they missing what we're saying, missing the emotional expressions, but it's all they have. That is their human connection, is seeing that. So imagine walking out to the world where all you can see and hear in terms of human connection is just masked, surgical, clinical-looking, sterile, no life, no identities, no emotional expressions. You don't understand what they're saying. You don't understand anything. And that's your connection to the entire social world around you. Right? For 1.5 years or more, the deaf community, already cut off from the rest of society by virtue of their condition, has been thrown into a even farther quarantine, in some sense, social quarantine. Every day was an even deeper and harder social quarantine than you and I have ever experienced. And that was your science moment.